Hey guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape. This episode's going to be a big one where we chat to an industry insider that has been around forever. Before we move on too far though, let's talk about some sponsors that are helping this podcast keep on going. Firstly, we've got Canyon Bicycles. Those guys have been on this year for a while. I have been absolutely loving their Spectral. I'm on the 27.5 inch at the moment, and I have absolutely shredded the crap out of this bike. I have hit so many rocks and so much stuff on it, crashed it way too many times, and it still keeps going. If you want to grab a bike that is just as reliable, absolutely bomb-proof, and can ride anywhere, jump over to canyon.com and order through them now. Any issues as well, don't forget that all their staff are in Australia, so if you want real-time service, the guys in Melbourne will be able to help you out. Absolutely amazing company, loving their bikes, and thank you so much for the support. Keeping me connected to the bike are some Factor pedals from 2Up Bike Co. These pedals have been absolutely bomb-proof as well. So many rock strikes. For their lightness, I thought they would be absolutely decimated by now, but thankfully they just keep on going. Hit up 2Up Bike Co. Go to your local bike store. Do whatever to get some of those pedals in your hands. They are absolutely amazing. And look at their lubes, their wheels, and everything else they do as well. They're killing it. Keeping me comfortable now is a new sponsor for 2021. We've got Franked from WA on board. They are an Australian brand designed in-house. They make some super lightweight jerseys. One of the big things I have been blown away by is how lightweight they feel. It's basically like riding naked without the calls to the police. They are absolutely killer. Use the code all capitals Beyond the Tape to get 10% off over there. The value for money is already killer, so why not save a little bit more? Dirt Surfer, also use that same code. Get 15% off of a custom mudguard, or choose one of their sick designs as well. They have some really killer designs, 100% recycled, 100% recyclable, absolutely killer products. Been loving them. Another sponsor on board as well, one of the main ones from day dot is NSDynamics. They keep my suspension running perfectly, and they can do yours too. They actually have a sale. I'm not sure if it's finished yet, but they've got 5% off of some of their stuff over there as well, including DVO, Öhlins, and Forsprung. They also service suspension and get it better running than new. Their next sponsor is a new one as well. A little bit different. I figured since people are taking care of their bikes, they'd also want to take care of their balls. Yep, you heard me right. Manscaped have come on board, so if you want to get a bit of a discount, 20% on their new lawnmower, hair trimmer is go and use Beyond the Tape. The new hair trimmer comes with a ceramic blade to avoid any nasty nicks. I mean, I've probably got enough scratches and stuff all over my body. Getting one in that sensitive area is not going to do me too well. It's a bit hard for me to look down there. You know, I'm a big dude, but they come with a big LED light on there. Who knew that a LED light on a razor would be so damn good? You can see exactly what you're doing so that you don't accidentally end up an inch shorter than usual, if you know what I mean. Painted amazing waterproof design, comfortable in the hand, works really well. As I said, use Beyond the Tape over there, get 20% off of any of their goods. They even do a bit of a ball deodorant and some undercarriage care as well. So if you want to look good, smell good, and feel good down there while you're riding, hit up manscaped.com, use Beyond the Tape for 20% off. Anyway, as thankful as I am for all these sponsors coming on board, they do make these intros a little bit longer. Let's get on to our guest. Our guest for this one is Rick Boyer. Rick has been a mainstay in the industry for a very long time. Coming up from racing, he was part of the mountain bike scene way back when downhill wasn't even a thing. He's raced with people like Nathan Rennie, Chris Kovarik, all those fast older guys, flat pedals win medals type of people. He then went on after a big crash to kind of become a staple in the industry, becoming one of the product managers for the biggest brands in the world and in Australia. So have a listen to him, have a listen to all these kind of crazy adventures and his life so far, because it's an interesting listen. Thanks so much to everyone that listens. Without you guys, this podcast wouldn't be a thing. And as always, grab a beer, grab a water, grab a wine, and whatever makes you happy, and have a great listen. Easy, man. Yeah, well, Rick Boyer, thanks for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. I'm stoked.
I don't think as stoked as I am. It's pretty rad to have like an industry lord on the podcast. It's good.
Cheers. Thanks for that. I thought you were going to say veteran. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not that old.
No, I wouldn't say a veteran. I think you're a veteran once you stop racing, all right?
Yeah, that's it.
Especially at a national level.
Yeah. I haven't quit downhill to go to enduro yet. Not fully, anyway.
Oh, you're doing better than Jack then.
Yeah. He's wise with his years, that boy.
Oh yeah, he's a good bloke.
Yeah.
For those who aren't like a bike nerd and know who you are, I guess could you introduce yourself and let us know who you are and what you kind of do?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Well, my name's Rick Boyer. I have been riding mountain bikes for a very long time, and it's turned into my passion and essentially my career. I can go way back to riding motorbikes when I was a little kid and always having a push bike. But I think in about 1996 is when I started really getting into mountain biking and started doing a fair few races, and from there it just blossomed and became all-encompassing. And ended up really having some really good help throughout the years, especially when I was younger, from many people. I suppose I might chat about them later if we get the time. But turned into being a bike mechanic. Got a break through a friend who I was riding and racing with. He said, "Come and check out, my boss's shop. He's looking for a mechanic." And I'm like, "Well, I've never been a mechanic before." He goes, "That's fine." So I rocked up. I had two resumes. I had my school resume. I had my riding resume with all the photos. And the guy then, who was Ainsley Hart at Inner City Cycles, he sat down. He grabbed the riding resume, flicked through all the photos and all the photos and the results, and then looked up at me and goes, "Oh, well, when can you start?"
It's sick.
So, and it just sort of started from there. That was out of high school in 1998, something like that. So yeah, and it just went on from there. Bike shops and riding, racing, fixing bikes, into a bit of distribution for myself, a bit of distribution for other people, a bit of trail building. Fixing more bikes, still fixing bikes. So yeah, all that sort of stuff. Selling bikes still. Yeah.
So that's like, what's that? 23 years, 24 years in the industry.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's adding up pretty fast.
I guess like you'd be one of the only people I've had on the show that would have seen like a fair amount of evolution on bikes. What did you kind of start off riding?
So when I first started off and did my first cross country and downhill race was on a fully rigid Apollo. It was a purple Apollo Alpine. And I love that thing. It had purple bar ends, and man, it was awesome. It had STX RC on it, I'm pretty sure. No, maybe not even. That might have been my second bike. But I quickly upgraded from that to a giant ATX 970. So I went from cantilevers to the new bike. We also had cantilevers, but they quickly got upgraded to V brakes. And on the giant ATX. It ended up getting a new fork. I got the Marzocchi Bomber Z1s, the orange ones that are so iconic. Yeah, then put a linkage kit on the back, and then then it got new rims and everything else as it all fell apart. So, but yeah, like I said, that was the evolution of downhill bikes in the day, or when people got started. You'd start out on whatever you had, and a lot of people just had one bike and would actually race cross country and downhill on the same bike. But to see, the evolution of bikes is amazing. To see some things take off and stay, and how bikes come out of the shop now is amazing. For kids, for adults, it's harder to buy a bad bike these days. You're always going to get some bang for your buck. It's not getting cheaper, but yes, it's getting better, and there's more bells and whistles. There's more features. I remember going downhill racing and having to true your wheels nearly every run, fixing spokes and all that sort of stuff, and just reliability issues throughout a weekend. Now you can go to a downhill race and you thrash your bike all weekend, and it's just kind of washing it, if you're looking after it all. if you're lucky. So, but yeah, I think one of the biggest things, people go, oh, disc brakes are great, dropper posts are great. I think getting rid of square taper bottom brackets was probably one of the biggest, the best things. I remember snapping square taper bottom brackets, racing, dirt jumping, just that's probably one of the best evolutions to get rid of square taper bottom brackets. Out of all the technology that's got going on, square taper bottom brackets are the best thing to go, and get onto say ISIS or onto what's dubbed now, and all the newer bottom brackets.
Tech and everything else, and there may be more standards, but at least they all work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone mentioned the other day they were complaining that a certain company couldn't make reliable bikes. It was a brand new 2020 bike. And just go back 10, 15 years and then come back to me.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah.
Even the upgrade to V brakes is always an interesting sentence as well.
That's it. Yeah. And I've got a kid, young local guy that comes in on Tuesdays to do a bit of work experience and show him the ropes. And so I'm going back to doing front derailleurs for him. His bike, he's never had a bike, or he's had one bike with quick release, but that was when he was younger. He's like, so we're just showing him quick release, showing him how to do front derailleurs and all this sort of stuff. And he's like, oh wow, so yeah.
What's this thing on the front?
Yeah. It's the black arts getting tuned in a front derailleur for some people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's so good to see the evolution of the bikes. Having yourself and everybody else riding back then, that you were the test pilots for the companies and for the brands. You would go through so many marketing fads, and then it wouldn't work, and it'd phase out, and then the next year something else would come out, and you'd be the test pilot, and being the company's sounding board for products that just didn't always work. But
that's how we got where we are.
Yeah.
So were you straight into racing once you kind of got the mountain bike bug?
Pretty much, yeah. That was about it. Just caught the bug essentially, and it was in Western Sydney. My first race was out at Yarramundi. I think the first race was actually a race called the Bees Nest Classic, and it was just up around the Blue Mountains. I remember it started flogging down rain. I didn't really know where I was going. I was trying to follow everyone else. Nearly got lost. I was young and didn't, have food or enough water, and just don't know how I got to the end. Just riding up this river at the end of the race, and just got the bug. I love riding bikes. I wasn't riding motorbikes anymore, and went from there. Chatted to a few of the local kids, and who I still chat to now. I think it was Killian Kennedy, and he said, "Oh man, you should come out tomorrow. There's this thing called downhill." And I was like, "Oh, what's downhill?" And we started at the top of the hill. We just raced down to the bottom. I was like, "Wow, I like the sound of that." And I just went from there. So yeah, it was pretty exciting. Racing at Western Sydney, and I started racing with Killian. Nathan Rennie was there. We were in the same age group, all three of us. We all ended up being mates, but then there was a lot of older guys who were fast, and they had cool bikes, and then suspension. And it was a pretty solid scene. It was really exciting times to get in it, and then started traveling, doing the national rounds as a sub junior and a junior, and met heaps of other friends. Met Jared Render from Canberra, Robbie McNaughton up here from Newcastle, and we all ended up racing together and doing a few trips, and that's how the Junior Assault Squadron came about. I know that's what we like to call ourselves. We thought we were way cooler than what we were. Most young kids do.
Yeah, yeah. That's the first golden era of Australian racing, I think. Right? So you got Rennie, Rando. Was Sharples in the mix as well? Probably around that time. That would have been our first. What was it like going to national series then for with those guys?
It was amazing. We were just young junior guys going, and just our eyeballs would pop out of our head when we see Scott or Michael Ronning come back. Before then was Miles Davis, and then it was Joel Panozzo. And these guys had come back, and they're on Santa Cruz factory ride for Joel, Trek factory ride for Scott. and Michael's on Gary Fisher. Then he went to Intense, and then Kavarik blew up out of the water. And these guys were older and were still just coming out of juniors, and it was all happening. That was when there was big bucks, semi-trailers in the car park, the Norba, the American National Off-Roads. Their national championship races were nearly just as big as the World Cups, or if not bigger, because so much industry was in America. You just go to the pits and it was off its head. It's just semi-trailers galore, and you're like, whoa, it's like motocross and supercross. But yeah, it was good to have people like Scott and Michael and Joel specifically, and they'd help us boys out. And I never made the big leap to the big leagues, but it was really good for Jared and Nathan especially that these guys that had sort of paved the way a bit and had done it before, and then everyone was always keeping an eye out for the fast Aussies. So, but yeah, and then there was Johnny Waddell as well, man.
True. Yeah,
so many fast guys you could keep going on about. Yeah,
that's why the scene was so big here at the time, is because we had so many people going big, and like the national series was healthy, and because those guys had that kind of dream, like you could dream to be those dudes.
Yeah, definitely. And it's like, well, hang on, these Aussie boys could do it. Why couldn't you? You could get over there cheap and easy into the States, and definitely make a name for yourself. So it was something that Nathan and Jared followed. I went over and did a couple of trips with Robbie, but I don't think I took it seriously enough. That's for sure. In the early days, I suppose I didn't realize, I could turn it into a job. I was just so happy riding my bike, having fun, trying to go as fast as I could, and probably hadn't honed my race skills enough, as well as not taking it seriously enough. And but yeah, just still had a blast. And yeah.
Did you race any of the Norbers or anything like that?
Yeah, I did a couple of the Norbers and a couple of World Cups. I did Junior Worlds in '99 in Sweden. So that's where Nathan won it. Jared Rando got third. I think Dave Wardell got second. He was British, and that was in juniors. Then Nico won that year as well, but Palmer came into the final corner, in the Watard final corner off a berm, washed out, and he was already maybe a couple of seconds up, and it would have gone down to the wire. Like it could have been one of Palmer's World Cup wins, World Champs wins, but he stacked it in the final corner. But anyway, I hurt myself. I didn't end up racing. I broke a bone in my arm, just chipped my humerus after a crash. But yeah, did a big tour, raced a few French national rounds that year, and then I did a tour with Robbie and Jared in America. We did 4 races in 6 weeks, and man, the stuff we got away with, you just couldn't possibly do. I don't know how we're allowed back, that's for sure. We've been back a few times, but yeah, we bought a big green van. We were so wet behind the ears. I can't remember. I think one of us was 18 or we were all 17, and we just had this loose plan. We just fly to America. We're going to get out of the airport and go buy a car and just cruise around and go to the races and just wing it. We just thought it was like Australia. And anyway, luckily, so I was traveling with Jared and Robbie, and Robbie was smart enough to organise someone to pick us up. So I think it was Taylor, Mark Slow, and Rob Ever, and they rocked up out the front of a big like F250 GT van, like WD-40 GT. I think it was one of their BMX trucks. And so I remember just, all three of us pushing out of the International Lounge in LA, where our eyeballs are popping out of our head. And Rob Ever's standing up on a chair, looking around, and we're all like, what's Rob doing here? And he goes, boys, how you going? He drags us over to the car. There's a big GT truck out the front, and Tay's in the front hanging around. I go, can't get in, you idiots. And I'm like, whew. That saved us. So, we're lucky. That was a tour of a lifetime. That was the epitome of freedom. But yeah, we did was it the Big Bear World Cup? I didn't actually race the World Cup. I didn't have my entry sorted because, I was just winging it. I ended up racing a support race. I'm pretty sure I won that one. I won that Big Bear support race for juniors in a T-shirt and some shorts. you know, and then there was all these sponsored American young kids. I'm like, who's this dude? And I'm like, just riding fast. And, you know, me and Robbie are hanging out. We're like, we're just here hanging out, riding. And Rando had actually organised himself better. He got into the World Cup race proper. Yeah, from Big Bear we went and did, I forget the exact order. We did Big Bear, we did Deer Valley. That was our last one. We did a Mammoth and a Squaw Valley. So all in California, and it was just super easy to cruise around, man. The car broke down. We bought BB guns, and we were living the dream. It was out of control.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's like almost better that you probably didn't have like technology and stuff around then, right? Like you couldn't just Google where to go or what to buy or
No, we did. We did as much research as we could before we went, but we ended up buying, like an American Street Directory. We used that, and I think I had that up till a few years ago, but it got moldy and stuff. But I remember up until a few years ago, just flicking through that. You know, we scribbled where we were going to go on there.
That's so good.
You know, we kept getting lost, but again, we just follow different people to races, and it's definitely just, nowhere to be. Or you had to be there for practice, and we're like, yeah, cool. What are we going to do for the rest of the week? And we just hung out, went riding, jumps, went downhilling, and
Cause trouble.
I just like to think trouble found us.
Yeah, it was definitely a troublesome crew to travel the world with, for sure.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely like I don't know. I suppose relate yourself to the Vanzacks a bit. They're having a good time. They're getting it done, and that's kind of what our vibe was then. Some of us went and took it a bit more seriously. Others just kept riding and racing and having a good time. But yeah, definitely there wasn't any social media, and I don't think there would have been anything that would have been too bad. Nothing that hasn't been done before.
Why didn't you kind of take it a little bit more seriously and try and pursue that path, or was it just because you just loved riding bikes, you just kept riding?
I did. I love riding bikes, and I kept riding. First off, I probably wasn't smart enough to figure that out. Or I didn't realize what the big guys were getting paid, and especially back in the day, they were on big money. And I was just happy just to be riding my bike. That was kind of the biggest thing. And as I got faster and faster, I thought, okay, cool, I can probably do this. And after Worlds, I came home, or after Junior Worlds, I came home, started racing Elite for a bit, and, kept improving. I thought, okay, I'll get a bit more serious, and as serious as I got. And sort of, I was under the realization that the more fun I was having, the faster I was going. If I put more pressure on myself, I'd probably wig out a bit, or, I'd have a crash. I didn't get down or didn't get bummed. I was just, if I concentrated too hard or focused, I don't think I flowed. I didn't ride as well. I probably rode too tense. So if I was just having fun, especially on tracks I liked, I would do better. And that was, I suppose, how I handled it at the time. But then I had a silly accident, probably it was 19 or 20, being a bit of an idiot, got run over by a car, broke my leg pretty serious, dislocated my shoulder. And so that put a stop to, my junior momentum coming into Elite. And that was probably a couple of year process of really just nearly getting back on the bike. I had 6 operations in 18 months. Touch wood that, so lucky that A, I didn't lose my leg, B, that it's still working now, didn't hurt my ankle or my knee. So super fortunate for being a bit of a weapon, getting run over, which was totally my fault on the road. And so, and from there, I was just stoked to be riding again. So I was still, early 20s. Yeah. And from there, I was like, look, I always had dreams of, maybe giving it another crack. But then as I went, I was happy to be riding again and just trying to have fun. And the more fun I had, the faster I went. The tracks I liked, I did the best on. It didn't feel like I wanted to chase it. I was having heaps of fun in Australia. I had good jobs, had good work. And, for those early years, getting back up to speed with the broken leg, I just was like, I'll just hang out at home and just try and have fun and be fast at home. I did a couple of World Cups overseas and just had heaps of fun and ended up going pretty well at them as well. But, I got to the point where I was, mid-ish 20s and just thought, oh, look, I've missed out on a lot of experience and I'm just happy with where I am.
Yeah.
Just trying to go fast in Oz. So, but yeah, did a few overseas races and pretty happy with that. I think I still got some results kicking around in a shoebox here and
yeah.
I still got
another plates above your head.
Yeah, still got some another place. I thought I'd try and get them in. Yeah, there's still those another place.
So good.
It's good to have them as mementos. So, but yeah, that's probably why I didn't try to pursue it as much, because I wasn't smart enough to do it, and just a bit of an injury setback there. Really didn't. I don't know. Yeah, just didn't propel me. My partner was supportive. My last my current partner, Jules. She's, even when I was getting faster towards the end of my 30s, she's like, "Do you want to crack? Do you want to go over? Do you want to do a season?" And by that stage, I was working at Lusty. That was when I was early days at Lusty, and no regrets. But it was the same thing going through my head. Look, I don't need to do it. I'd probably love to do it, but I've got stuff here that I'm doing. How much would it cost? There goes 20, 30, 40 grand or whatever.
Yeah, easily.
When I might not cut it and all that sort of stuff. So
you said like you kind of dropped that you missed some experiences through your 20s. What do you kind of mean by that?
Oh, so more just the racing experience, when is building the momentum, as you know, and it was just a couple of years out of not really being able to ride a bike at all, and then the next year getting up to speed. So there was probably, and that's a while back now. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, pretty much 2 years off the bike almost, and then say another year getting back up to speed. Then so, and the boys were overseas and they were set, and I probably could have tried again, but then I was, but back then when I broke my leg, I was doing Orange and doing that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I think I did go back over in 2002, and we did a tour with Jonathan. So Jonathan Taylor, who now runs Revolution Mag. We were business partners early on in the Orange days.
Yeah.
2002 went and did a couple of World Cups, and again, just more so for fun.
Yeah.
Pretty happy with that, and that was good. But yeah, nothing really came of it. Anything? Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get Jono on the podcast. He keeps saying, and then he'll bail out, and then he'll come on Monday.
Maybe you might have to go to him.
Oh,
even in this day and age of modern communication.
No, I'll be going to him. Don't worry. I'll do everything to make it happen.
Yeah, that'd be good. He's definitely got some stories as well. So he'd definitely be a good yarn.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So you kind of dropped it there, but you and him started Orange, or bringing Orange into the country?
We did, yeah. And it all started, no, I can't even remember the year, probably 99. I think Jonathan had been to the UK with his mum on a holiday, and he bought an Orange, and I think it was called a downhill bike called the Mr. O.
Yeah, okay.
Even before 222s. And he brought that back. It was this big old welded thing. It was pretty wide. And he's like, man, check this out. I've been in the UK. And, I'd known him for a bit. He was a young kid in the mountains. We'd been introduced from another guy who was doing suspension in the mountain, DNM. Not many people remember that. You might even be able to see an old pair back up there. But, yeah, DNM still goes. They make suspension for scooters, motorized scooters. Anyway, so he introduced Jonathan and I, and we saw, you showed me this Orange. I was like, wow, man, that's pretty cool. And we just got talking. His mum was into business, and he was pretty business minded. He was like a couple of years younger than me, and we were still pretty young. And again, this was really before the internet was massive. So luckily they couldn't Google who we were or how old we were.
Yep.
But we came up with the idea, hey, look, why don't we import some stuff? Every other turkey's doing it. How hard can it be? Let's bring some of these bikes in. And so we started emailing, talking to them. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. Started talking back, and it formulated into a business plan, and we got some help and some funding, and we had a crack. And I think we basically already signed the contracts, and when they saw our date of births on there, they rang us and said, excuse me, are these, how old are you boys? And we're like, yeah, no, that's right, we're that old. I didn't even I was 20 yet, and I was, maybe 19 or 20 or something like that. I was super young, and they got a bit shocked. But yeah, we did all right there for a bunch of years. We had heaps of fun, man. It was great. And, going to races, learning business, working with a super popular brand at the time. Yeah, it was massive. We got on just as soon as Global kicked off with Mick Hanna and Sean McCarroll and this guy, some of you might have heard of, Greg Menard. He was on Orange back in the day.
He could have gone places. Yeah.
Yeah. He should have stuck with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just how that rolled, and we rode the wave for a bunch of years on Global, and then Global disbanded, but then they got Steve Pete riding for them, so that was just as good. There's this other guy that some of you might have heard of, this Petey character, and another legend in his absolute own right, just as a human and as a rider. That really
was that when they had Fairclaw and Bryceland might have been on it at the same time because of Petey. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I don't know if it was the first year, but yeah, he had them on as the junior kids for his support team, and they were running Royal. So that was also when Petey started up Royal. So then we got onto Royal Racing Clothing. We're bringing that in. We got onto another company, Danger Boy Components. They were doing it was similar to what Straight Line did. They were doing stems, brake lever upgrades, getting into some pedals and stuff, and then that was ticking along, and then all of a sudden one day Danger Boy just didn't answer their phone. They didn't get back to their emails like, hey, we need some stuff, and just there was none on the other end of the line. So don't know what happened with them. I heard a rumor that one of their head machinists went to work for Straight Line or something like that, but that's just a vicious rumor. But yeah, just never answered their phones anymore, and some of the old levers. If anybody needs any old Shimano XT levers,
yes,
colours for retro stuff. Yeah, got a few treasures hidden in the back of this shed.
That's so good.
But yeah, worked with Jonathan for ages, man, and we had a blast, man. We had an absolute time. Again, traveling to all the Aussie races, a couple of overseas trips, and learning how to do business. Some good, some bad. But and then as he kept going, he started Revolution Mountain Bike Magazine. In that period with Matt Holmes and Mike Daly, the guys doing 2020 mag, and that's and you can see that's gone from strength to strength and just ticking on. So good to see that, and that's his gig at the moment. And I ended up taking over Orange. 05-ish maybe, 06 or 07 or something like that, around 2006-ish or something. So maybe 5 or 6 years doing Orange, and but we still hang out, and it's great to catch up at races. It's good to see him doing great.
Well, like Citrus Imports that would have been like one of the biggest, well, that's what you called yourself, right? That was one of the biggest distributors for a while, right? Like it was pretty big.
I don't know. I think maybe our reputation preceded us. There was only two of us with some help and support in the background. But it was definitely a hot ticket thing. We tried to make a lot of noise, and we had Orange bikes that they were everywhere. It was Global Racing, Steve Pete, and the Orange team. And then locally, we had Justin Avikainen get on the Mad Cats team. We had Brent Atkinson get on the Mad Cats team. but we also had our local team that we looked after as well. With Luke Strom and Dave Wacker McLaughlin. So yeah, Orange was a really big thing, but it wasn't a massive business.
Yeah.
But it was growing, and then just a few things faded away. Like Danger Boy went bust. Valencia Sports Group, which is the owners of 661 at the time, they bought out Royal Racing.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get a look in. Basically, just went straight to the distributor at the time of 661. I forget the name back then, but I don't think they're around anymore. And so we just lost distribution of Royal without a phone call at that stage in the early days. So then it was just back to Orange, and these things happen.
Got to roll with those punches, right? Like
we go. Yeah. So yeah.
And like, it seems way different to now. Like, you obviously social media again, but back then it was a little bit more win on Sunday, sell on Monday type of thing. So if your bikes went up the top, then
yeah, exactly. And that was it, and it didn't have to be, I think it was MySpace back in the day. Well, MySpace wasn't even around then. Yeah, it was just like the magazines, and the internet was just starting to come online. I remember, every weekend I'd be on the Sticks and Stones website. So Craig Stickman Glasgow, he was Lee Donovan's mechanic, works for Troy Lee now, and he was the mechanic, and he'd be on his little blog site just punching out, all the results and everything that was happening. It was just like, man, you couldn't get enough of that. But now, everyone's got a vlog, everyone's got Instagram and Facebook, and it's short snippets, and everything that's going on. It's going to get released before it's even released. But yeah, it was win on Sunday and sell on Monday. That was it. Now there's so much more marketing. There's so much more noise with marketing and different aspects. Free riding that kicked off. That was big with the New World Disorder stuff and Red Bull Rampage kicking off around that time, really gaining popularity and momentum. I suppose that helped the scene as well. But there's so many more people out there getting support, which is a good thing. They're not necessarily on the top of the podium, but they're good people. So and they wouldn't be getting the support if they weren't. So, but got to agree with you that. Yeah, it was definitely podium results paid your way, whereas not so much this day and age. There's different ways to be able to, earn a keep. Yeah, market yourself. So, but the fast guys still, they still earn the premium. So
yeah. Well, I think Aaron Gwynn's posted like 5 times this year, and he's probably the highest paid, right? So same with Manar, that Manar guy. Yeah.
I think, Manar, I believe deserves it a little bit more. Aaron Gwynn, I think a lot of his meal tickets are coming from America, being that American boy, and, maybe he could spread the love and, help out a few young Aussie and New Zealand pinners, spread his pay packet, spread his pay packet a bit wider for some young punters. So.
It's a very steep pyramid. Like a lot of those, the money falls off real quick.
Yeah, it does.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it makes it hard. And the World Cup numbers or entrants for downhill riders, have been getting cut back, harder to qualify, less practice, and they're really tapering it to an elite level, which I can appreciate. But then it makes it harder for your Joe Blogs to come in and have a crack, the Vanzak boys, or, an up-and-coming to get out. As an independent rider, it seems like you need to be an independent rider in your own country, get support or get a feeder team or get onto a team to help you there. And that's not feasible for everybody. There's not as many teams out there. There's a lot of support, but it's difficult to make that top rank rung of the pyramid or the podium. And then we've seen it turn into more of a professional sport. Not that it wasn't professional before, but it's much more serious, and the seriousness is filtering down. You get your elite World Cup guys were serious, but man, they like to party back in the day. Now, the juniors are more serious. than everyone else, you know. It's, oh, you got to train up, get on the rollers, and you're like, yeah, cool, yeah, sure thing, you know. But man, if it's not fun, why are you doing it? You know, yes, it's a job, but will it be a job? You know, I mean, for Al, it's got to get some realistic expectations about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, we'll go on a bit of a tangent, but like, I think one of the first people, Martin Whiteley, he said to me, like, you got to have a strong national series to have a strong athletes in the World Cups, and you can kind of see that now because America's got that real good windrock scene thanks to Mullally.
Yep.
And we've got less of a good scene here just because of the way they've structured it, and it's coming through. Like, and we haven't got that many fast riders at the moment.
No. Well, look, not as many as what we would have had in the past.
Yeah.
I agree with you there. But, you know, you look at what we do and what we've come out of. And then over the years, I've seen the National Series come, go, change. And this is, you know, a whole other tangent. But we've always got the guys that, you know, Brosnans, Fearens, so on and so forth. Sick McHanna Racing is a bit more of an expat these days. But, yeah, there's less in the bottom levels of the pyramid. You know, the Vanzacks probably don't get as much coverage. It's not as much support, but it's not like we were dominating like we were, you know, when we had Kovarik, Ronning, you know, and, you know, half of the top 10 at a World Cup were Aussies. You know, Rennie was smashing. He won his overall World Cup there. And, but yeah, I know what you're saying, but yeah, we always seem to find a way. There's always someone fast, you know, Jack, regardless of the National Series, because I've come through seeing the fast guys come back, they're making the National Series, they're the top guys, and everyone would go to watch them. But then over the years, they wouldn't come back to the races in Australia because there wasn't a series for them, or the National Series just was too weak. But then they'd still be fast. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's harder for the kids now to make that stepping stone without direct support.
Especially with the costs, and well, even now, like with this whole COVID thing, like it's impossible, I think.
Yeah.
I was chatting with someone the other day, and with COVID, like the insurance, hotel, testing, everything, I think it's like $150,000 trip if you crash at World Champs.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not good.
That's a lot of biscuits. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot more riding on it in this COVID age, isn't there? So hopefully it goes back to normal in a couple of years and makes it a bit easier again. Yeah.
We'll get back on track a little bit, but when did you were one of the, I mean, Johnny was the founder, but you were one of the first people to work at Lusty.
Yeah, yep. It's John McLean's business, and he's a good mate, and we were good mates before I ended up working for him. So he had a business partner originally, and then he started himself. Took on a business partner that didn't work out. But then there was two young, influential local boys from Newcastle that worked there before me. Pat Young, who went on to work at Specialized a bit. And Kent Hamilton, who's back at Lusty now and still there. They were younger and part-time and had done a fair few shifts before me. But yeah, I came in before one Christmas. I think it was Christmas 2008. Maybe, and just help him pack boxes, do some orders, answer phone calls. And so it was Johnny and his sister. His sister was, there full time. Johnny was still working in the mines a bit, putting the money into the business and just doing mega days, big mine days, big Lusty days. And then it just evolved from there. When I started, it was, nearly 100% moto in customer base, product base, and then it just expanded from there to being super duper strong in bicycle, and it's still got its strong roots in moto. But yeah, that was definitely a big ride. That was good. It was and great to see the successes that they're having and still having. Yeah, he's done an amazing building that business.
What was it like being like on the ground floor, seeing something start? Because it was like in a garage pretty much from the start, and then to the huge business it is now.
Oh, it's been amazing to be a part of that that journey and ride and watch it grow. Like you said, yeah, he started in bedroom, garage. When I started, it was just in a solid warehouse, shared with a moto shop. Then the moto shop moved out. We took that. Then we rented the space next door. Then we outgrew that. Had to move to a new warehouse that was bigger. Pretty much took on Troy Lee Designs and GoPro. And as soon as we moved into the bigger premises, we were like, oh man, we're going to need an even bigger one straight away. And then, again, more storage and warehousing across the road and wherever we could find it. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. Definitely. It's such a cool ride to do that. But for me, it was something new every day in that, still packing orders, still sweeping the floor, unpacking containers, driving the forklift, answering phones, doing forecasts, driving spreadsheets.
Yep.
And over that it evolved where, it was like an octopus doing a million things. And over the years, having the experience to know how, a lot of the operations ran and, different stuff would come in to do different things and helping them out. And then Johnny, it was only, a couple of years after I started, he ended up being there nearly full time. It's like first started, he was there a few days a week. Then he got, part. It's like he was a part timer, but we would talk all the time and after hours just grew and grew, and then finally, gave the mine away, and it just kept growing even more. And even saw him at soccer training tonight. And he's like, man, just still busy. I'm like, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and he's still got a mad team there to talk to and hang out with. But definitely, it was so enjoyable to work there, doing everything or having a finger in everything or in every pie, especially in the early days, and just to watch all the successes. And like you said before, you had to roll with the punches. Even back in the day, I rolled with the punches with my own company. There was definitely a fair few big blows coming Lusty's way and Johnny's way, and we got through them. And kept on tracking. So and then this last one, COVID's just given everyone a big punch, but it's turned out to be a positive in some ways for the bicycle industry.
For sure. But like on your way like through the ladder there and stuff, you end up being like the product manager for some big names like Santa Cruz and Troy Lee and a few other brands, right?
Yeah, pretty much because I was there the longest. But I evolved as the job did, and I suppose my roles narrowed towards the end. Primarily focused on customer service, but then focused on the bigger brands, especially with Santa Cruz that came on in 2015, and that was a big thing for the company, and really solidified us in the bicycle industry as a proper bicycle distributor. So that took up a lot of my focus, as well as Troy Lee. We had 510, then 510 went corporate, got bought out by Adidas, another bit of a blind side. There, still don't know what that company's doing, but, and again, you take you roll with the punches. We picked up Ride Concepts, and that's been amazing. That was amazing for Lusty and still is. But towards the end there, primarily spreadsheets, primarily ordering, primarily forecasting, just trying to keep everybody happy from, the guys at Santa Cruz, just wanting us to hit their budgets and trying to get bikes to people, dealing with, product delays, factory production delays, all those sort of fun things that, people don't see behind the scenes, It's not that Lusty was getting corporate, but, some of the other people we were working with were probably getting more corporate, losing the fun in the bike vibe. Where, I could have been selling, roller doors and just had to hit targets, had to sell so many roller doors. even though, you know, I sat there for many years going, wow, look at these brands I'm working with, the best brands. Brands
Yeah.
I've been using all my career and still do, like nearly on all my bikes.
Yeah.
You know, in that Big Bear race, that first Big Bear race in '99, ended up getting a pair of ODI lock-ons.
Sick.
And from there, that was it, you know. I mean, yeah, couldn't go back. But, just some of them got a bit corporate, and that was, you know, maybe one of the cons of the job at the time. But it was definitely great to work with big brands, cool brands, and it made my job easy to sell stuff that people wanted.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, to me, being like the nerd, the bike nerd, and loving the industry and stuff, like, to sit there and say you're like the product manager of Santa Cruz for Australia is like a pretty big deal to some people. And like Troy Lee, like the list that you just had is massive.
Yeah.
Did you ever kind of get to that position where you like looked back and kind of pinched yourself a little bit, or were you just so immersed in that?
Yeah, I think I was there for pretty much 11 years, and it was maybe say 3/4 of the way, 2/3, 3/4 of the way through that. I was like, man, this is amazing. Look at all this cool stuff we're doing, all this cool stuff we're selling. And it was amazing. And it was still, you know, great to look at all the new stuff that comes out. And I still flick through the catalogs, you know, all the new catalogs and go, man, that looks cool. That's hot. Oh, I want one of them, you know. And then quite often, you know, I'd sit there nearly all the time. I was like, oh, I'll get one of them. I'll order one of them for me. And I want that, you know, and especially when the new bikes came out. I was like, yeah, I'm riding that one. I want that color. But then you just get so busy and you're just like, yep, sure thing, cool. You know, and it got to the last couple of years where I was just like, yep, sure thing. Oh, look, bikes were less of a priority for me a little bit. Where it was living, eating, and breathing it, and that's been one of the hardest things. Working in the industry all the time, you know, go to soccer, coaching, see dads that ride or whatever. Go see Johnny, you know, high five. Yeah, we don't really talk about bikes or riding or business. But then every other dad wants to talk about bikes and their derailleurs and their gloves, and you're just like, yep. And it's just 24/7 nonstop. And because they get so much froth on it, it makes it real hard. Because for them, you know, they've been working in a coal mine. They've been shoveling concrete all day, and bikes is their release. And, you know, it used to be for me, and it still is now. You know, I'm getting more juju back. But, you know, just people just want to froth 24/7, or they ring you at 8 at night. Hey, man, look, I need some rubber. It's like, I'm trying to put the kids to sleep. Or, you know, like, I'm deep in it, or I was deep in a forecast. So now, you know, now I'm working in the shed late at night. And like, cool. I just need some downtime, you know. For me, it's, you know, go and surf and a bit or whatever. But, it's funny getting that balance, you know. I mean, imagine, you know, a concreter and just going up talking concreter to a concreter at 7:30 at night at the pub, you know. And he's like, man, I shoveled the shit all day. I don't want to talk about it now. But it's there was a lot of fanboying when I was working at Lusty, and it's just I was pinching myself there for quite some time to be working with all those really nice brands. But then, you know, I suppose, you know, then you get a disconnect, you know, like 510 goes corporate and other companies go corporate, or they just, you know, then it just turns into like, well, here's the spreadsheet. You got to fill this with zeros and dollar signs, and that's it. Don't talk to us unless you get that back to us. And you're like, all right, okay. Yeah, that's how it is now, you know, and it's bigness. No, you know, that's probably not fair on all of the brands we worked with, but
it's definitely happening.
It's happening, but that's the industry and that's the world in this day and age, and that was taking some fun out of it for me. You know, so, and like I said, you know, probably with my career, if I wasn't having fun, you know, maybe I wasn't doing my best or performing at my best, or wasn't focusing, or wasn't driven to do it as much, or wasn't as exciting. So, you know, like, we've got to be having a bit of fun, you know, like, yes, I'm competitive. I like winning. I like working hard, putting in the hours, putting in the effort, but everyone, you know, just got to be on the same page with the other people, and, you know, wasn't not anybody at Lusty or anything there. Just didn't want to go full corporate. Didn't want to deal with the suits. Some of the suits at the other end.
Yeah, it's touched on a few things that you said, but yeah, I first experienced that kind of like, I don't want to talk about bikes on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, this is a weird feeling. Like, yeah, because you're just immersed in it the whole time.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like just getting out of the industry and finding something else?
Not really. I think because I don't know anything else.
Yep.
I thought about it, at different points in time. Like, maybe I'll go be a chippy. Maybe I'll go study. Maybe I'll do this. But then I just always kept asking myself, and I still do now, what I want to do when I grow up. And, a lot of people I think have heard me say that over the years, and I don't know. And I'm still having fun. Like, I am having fun, but I think it was time for a bit of a change. But yeah, thought, getting out of the bike industry is hard. It sucks you back in, because it is cool. You got so many mates. You're working with your friends. You're working with stuff you love. And I was like, can I go and sell roller doors? No. Can I go sell house tiles? I'm like, no. Where's the passion in that? Like, still just got to have some passion or some excitement or something I can relate to. Maybe I could go sell surfboards now or something like that, or weddies. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah.
So what you kind of left about a year ago, which it was quite a good little send off from like Lusty and stuff as well. They kind of said their things, and it was cool.
Yeah.
What have you kind of been doing since then? Like,
after we all sort of dried our tears, it was pretty emotional for all of us. And look, it was definitely amicable. We parted on the best of ways. But since then, I mean, the reason was to have a year off with my family. Essentially, my little girl was going to kindy. It was my girl's last year in daycare, so I wanted to spend as much time with her. While she was at daycare, hanging with her, my little man, he was in year 2 then. I was like, look, I have a family year, and I'll do a bit of this and that or whatever sort of popped up. Ended up having COVID hit us, and that really, threw a bit of a spanner in the works. And luckily my partner's smarter than me. That's one of the best things and smartest things I've done in my life is pick a winner with my partner. So she's, her full-time job kept going the whole way through. And we're pretty crazy, got through, but then ended up just fixing bikes for people. I've always had a workshop. I've always done my own stuff, helped the team guys and other races. Then it just started spreading. I fixed one guy's bike, and even now, I still haven't advertised. I'm just getting 1 or 2 people a week. Yeah. Just cold calling, word of mouth, and that was it. And I was going to have a year off, but I think I worked on more bikes through the school holidays last year with COVID, because everyone was riding and all that sort of stuff, more than I'd worked on bikes in many years. So I was doing that, and did a little bit of work for Robbie at Drift, building bikes primarily, to the point where they got busy enough where they ended up just getting me to build bikes from flat out for a few periods there, especially before Christmas, and then that was it. So I think the plan this year was to really try and ramp up the workshop sort of side of things, but still haven't advertised, still getting enough part-time work, but then took on a role with East Coast Mountain Trail. So they're Newcastle based, New South Wales based trail building company. They've done Ride Dungog. We're just about to start a gig in Glenrock here right in our backyard, which is probably one of our most exciting little jobs. Just hopping on a little section of track here, which is going to be sick. And doing some part-time stuff with them. So, part-time daddy daycare, part-time East Coast Mountain Trails, and part-time workshop. It's keeping me busy. Plus, sneaking in a surf here and there and a ride here and there, which is really good. But I get the feeling, and I'm actually pretty excited about working for East Coast. You know, I've known Matt. He's an old downhiller from way back. You know, and that's how, you know, most of my job interviews go. It's he stood at my shed door for a bit and goes, so, you want to do some stuff for me? Yeah. He goes, cool. All right, well,
exactly.
let's start. So, but he's been going for a couple of years now.
Yep.
And I can see the potential there, and it's exciting. He's doing amazing work. I'm just helping in at the ground level, just checking emails, helping with some presentations and some tenders and some documents, because he just wants to dig, and he's so busy digging right now. He's like, I just need you to cover the back end. Cool. And got that covered, and I'll get on the tools if he needs, which I really enjoy, because I did work for Glenn Jacobs and World Trail.
Oh, cool.
Back in 2005 when they started Stromlo. So we started the Stromlo rebuild after the fires there, and that was amazing. That was so good to work with those guys then for a few years. I wasn't a full-time employee, but I was one of their first employees, or in the first mix. I was working with Dennis Bear, man. We had some laughs. And yeah, great to start rebuilding Stromlo. We did a few walking tracks here and there and other projects, in Brizzy, and walked Buller, Buller helped a bit down there and stuff. And, that was probably one of the most rewarding jobs. But, over the years throughout my career, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, do some trail building again.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yes, it was a hard day's work, but you could turn around and go, I've seen what I've built.
Yeah.
There's a reward. Plus, you get to ride it. So enjoyed it heaps. And to get back in with East Coast and Matt, and with the potential that's out there, the evolution of mountain biking, everyone's into it. The tourism that's coming along. I mean, New South Wales is always a bit behind with bike tourism. Look, Tassie, Brizzy's taken off, Victoria, Adelaide. Hopefully, New South Wales can kick off a bit more. Matt's got heaps of work, but it's just exciting to get in, ground level, start, help out, offer my bit, do what I can. I learn a lot with Orange, a lot. I made a lot of mistakes, and then evolved, and
Are you still doing Orange now as well, or?
Yeah. Slowly but surely. Yeah, definitely. Still doing that, and I'm back on them now. Got the shed full of them. Got a new downhill bike. I rode that at Medina and loving it.
I saw that. Yeah.
Finally got it tuned. I just built up a 5 Evo. Finally, it's been sitting here in parts for a couple of months. Finally got to that. But yeah, look, it's very small time. Still got the website, and it's rocking. Its own thing, People go, they haven't changed over these. And you're like, well, no, not really. They are what they are. It is what it is. They're alloy. Not everybody wants alloy. They're single pivot. Not everybody wants single pivot. A lot of people want the latest, greatest whiz bang carbon multi-link lounge chair of a ride, and that's good. But yeah, Orange is what it is, and if you do. But it's they feel good. I've had some rides at Threadbow, rides at Dungog, and just couldn't be happier back on them. Just loving them. It's like I'm home. So yeah, but it's small time. And they've been pretty good with stock throughout COVID, which has been good. And I've actually just hit a dry spell now where I'm trying to chase a bunch of bikes, and it's coming up trumps. So mainly on parts. So
it's funny, like that single pivot classic front triangle, like basic bike. But at Medina, I reckon I saw more heads turn towards your Orange than most other bikes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, look, they're pretty unique. There's not a lot that look like that. So yeah, a couple of the really old people, or the people that know me for a while, come up and giving me shit, and oh man, I could hear you coming down the hill before I could see you, and all that sort of stuff. Which is, it's good to get a laugh in. But they've evolved. They are definitely unique, especially in how they make them, how they look, and look, they ride better than they ever have. They still retain all the best characteristics of what they're built around. The pedaling, lightweight, simplicity, all the things that how they perform. But they also working amazingly well. now they're just refining everything, and the shock technology's come a long way as well and helps. But
yeah,
yeah,
I was about to say like that would have helped a bunch. The shock suspension technology.
Yeah, that's right. So, and yeah, I mean, back in the day, there was pretty good technology, with Fox, and then they put the fifth elements in it. But I never felt like I could get the fifth element working. That was for a different. Like the fifth element was designed more so for intense, or the 4-bar links, or the multi likes, and never felt at home with the fifth element shock in.
Yeah, I heard some bad things about them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. I guess like another thing I wanted to touch on, and I heard this secondhand, we can edit it out and stuff, but you had some kind of health issues like last year as well.
Yeah. Well, that was a couple of years ago. Yeah. So 2019. Yeah, ended up getting diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
Which was a shock. It was it was a surprise. Dealing with it. It was fine. It's easy. I'm in what they call this honeymoon phase now, so it's super easy to manage. It's early days. There's no real issues. I do have to keep on top of certain things, but the benefit was having known Robbie Mack. He's had diabetes type 1 all his life. And so, we'd go for a ride, or, we just hang out. And he's traveled the world, lived his life fully, and just watch him, inject insulin when he needed, and then, balance his diet as best he could, and all that sort of stuff. And so I knew what it was. I actually didn't have a proper understanding of it. But, I was like, well, Robbie can, we would surf and ride all the time. It's like, well, that's cool. Life's not going to change. I just got to careful. It's actually probably helped my diet quite a lot. COVID hasn't helped my diet or my alcohol consumption. That's been a bit of a hindrance, but yeah, it's fine. It's actually pretty easy. Like it was never any dramas having diabetes or getting it, but it's
didn't really affect you or slow you down or anything really, hey?
Not really, not yet, no. But yeah, I've had to take it on board, and just be more mindful of my health and my diet a little bit. And I'm trying to. I'm definitely not that good at the best of times. It's something that I'm working on, and then it will get worse, or it will affect me more later on. But I've got tools in front of me to be able to deal with it, and it's just like a little basic maths game every time, or when you get up, or every time you eat, and you're just checking your petrol tank and how much petrol you're putting in and how fast you're burning it. It's just that sort of little game that seems pretty easy. I think I can stay on top of it, but like I said, I was fortunate to one of my best mates have. It's not fortunate for him, but fortunate for me. Have that as a point of reference and go, look, I can make this work, and it's never got me down in the dumps much. The hardest thing is pricking your fingers every morning, or I had to prick my fingers all the time, test my blood. I'm happy with everything else. I'll do anything else, but I was just cracking the shits with pricking my fingers all the time.
That little machine thing they have actually hurts quite a little bit. The little, I don't know if you got that spring-loaded pin thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really annoying.
Yeah.
Done that a few times. It's not fun.
Nah. You do it. You've got it yourself?
No, my dad had it. Has it. And like you, as a kid, you'd always just mess around with it, and you kind of forget, and then you do it again, and you're like, this is why I don't like doing it. Like, it's weird.
You get used to it, and it's pretty easy. And the technology that's coming out of the medical profession this day and age is advancing at a rapid rate of knots. They may never cure it, but it's definitely getting easier and easier to deal with, especially for me. And I've only had it for a year and a bit, year and a half, 2 years coming up now. Something. So,
we'll start wrapping things up a little bit in a minute, but I've just noticed you got like a bunch of helmets behind you. Is there any of significance up there? Just
Um,
random. Do you see a Red Bull one up there? But
oh no, it just looks like Red. It's just got the colours
ah,
very similar to it. No, it never had anything to do with Red Bull, but no, just an old collection of helmets over my years. I've
yeah,
managed to be able to keep most of my helmets. Tried to
yeah,
keep
cool.
the plates. I think there's probably 3 or 4 helmets that aren't there. But yeah, started off with one of the very early Bells. Then I went to a Gyro Mad Max.
Sick.
Then,
Yeah,
then there was a D2, and I got the D2 custom painted after a year or so. Ended up slamming my head into the ground. That one's broken. And then ended up getting looked after by Fox for many, many years. And yeah, they're all the V3 moto helmets because once I smashed my head pretty hard, I was like, oh, I'd probably prefer a moto helmet. Then a couple of One Industries helmets. Again, there's a few of them are banged up. And then yeah, a couple of Troy Lee helmets. I've got one Troy Lee up there, and the last couple are still in bags. I try and keep the last couple pretty good tucked away. I got a Stack hat up there.
sick.
Ran the Stack hat in the Chosen Line series for a while there, jumping and race 4 crossing that Stack hat. I found that at our old community cycling centre. They had an old bunch of Stack hats I was going to throw away, so I took a bunch home for all my mates.
Yeah.
Trying to keep some memorabilia. Got a couple of other orange frames hanging up. Can't see over that side, and a couple of banners. But yeah. It's the workshop's coming along, still tidying it, trying to make some more space.
Mm. It looks pretty set up in there.
Yeah.
Did it take you a while to get sorted?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, I've had half of it sorted for my own personal stuff.
Yeah.
For a decade now. And that's always evolved. But yeah, really had to make more space for other bikes. This other half's getting tuned up. That's, more tools, wheel station.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've got pretty much a full workshop here. I do outsource some detailed suspension work or some in-depth suspension work, just so I'm not having to carry a million spares for old stuff or new stuff, or you pull a cartridge apart and this is worn or that seal's broken. Hang on, I don't have that other ring. But I do air shaft services, lower leg services here, most of that stuff, the basic suspension stuff. But yeah, everything else here, wheel building, so on and so forth. But yeah, that's pretty dialed. I'm pretty happy with it. Got a TV in here, got a fridge in here, stereo, fan for summer, heater for winter. Yeah.
I think suspension tooling as well. Good luck with Fox trying to find every single tool they need to be.
Yeah.
It's a crazy part of the industry.
It is, yeah. So, and I mean, you can do most suspension seat posts. But yeah, then I looked at the cost of the Fox transfer. Proposed tools. I was like, no, I'll skip that.
I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. So.
What do you reckon? What's your most used or favorite tool in your workshop? You reckon?
Okay. Well, I'll go 2 tools. Allen keys. I've got an Allen key set, and it's called the Hosan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it doesn't even come with an 8mm. It's just a 1.5 to a 6mm. And I think in the 20 years I've been working on bikes, this is my second set. So they're a nice top quality Japanese set of Allen keys. And I'm looking for another set because they're just your standard small Allen keys. I'm looking for another set of T handles or sliding ones. I'll get something like that. In the next evolution. I've got Pedro's P handles. But yeah, the Hosans, they keep on going. They're precision fit. They're sick.
Yeah, that's got to be super rare.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
eBay Japan. And they were pretty cheap. I think it was less than $100 shipped for something that lasted 10 years. But probably the most satisfying tool is the Park Tool Crown Race puller.
Yeah.
CRP2. Just when you get the 3 teeth in or the 3 jaws, or the claws, and then you just wind off a crown race. It just slides off without tapping, banging, chiseling, screwdrivering. That's probably the most satisfying tool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's a pity it's just so big, but
Yeah.
when you do pull it out and you get to use it, it's a good time.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm gonna look for some of those Allen keys now.
Yeah. eBay. I think it's eBay.
I got a few connections over there. I might reach out and see what I can find. Because they do that. They do the spoke roller, like the quintessential spoke roller, and they're just so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Before we nerd out too much on tools, all right. Well, I got kind of 3 questions I like to ask most people or everyone that comes on the podcast.
For sure, far away.
What advice would you have for someone that wants to kind of work in the industry and make their way in the mountain bike industry?
Don't. No, I'm joking. No, look, it's awesome. Look, you know, just get in there and do everything. Do as much as you can and do everything. Don't just go, oh, I just want to be a mechanic, or oh, I just want to do sales, or go and try and build some trails. Yes, do some mechanics. Ask questions. You know, join your local club and hang out and just ride and have fun with it. You know, I've been fortunate enough to turn my enjoyment or lifestyle into a career. As much as, you know, as you could call it a career. I don't like that word, but yeah, you know, it's definitely fun. So give it a crack. If you don't like sales, you know, try wrenching on bikes. If you don't like wrenching on bikes, have a go at building some trails or doing some marketing. You know, marketing can take you anywhere, but always put your hand up. You know, I love the community that's in the industry. You know, either riding or working or selling. You know, it's a really, really good community. That's probably one of the best things I like about it.
For sure. Yeah. And that community is how you get the jobs. Like it's kind of, it's weird.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think, you know, I mean, touch wood, my interviews are getting, with potential employees are getting shorter and shorter. The East Coast one went for less than 5 minutes, and Johnny's one, you know, with Lusty. Yeah.
That's so good. Do you regret kind of any of the choices or anything you've done up until now, or is it still led to the right spot?
Nah. There's I haven't reflected on this for a while, and someone's asked me this years ago, and I don't actually regret anything. I think I pretty much still do everything. Everything the same way. Really, there's nothing really I change. You know, you'd always like to go back and be a bit wiser, and you know, you do things differently with hindsight. There's probably a few silly things I did when I was younger. You know, just partying too hard. I might have tried to tone back a little bit, but you know, then I thought I was having fun. You know, I probably try not to hang on to cars and get run over. That's probably the biggest thing. That's probably a regret. That was just a lot of pain and suffering, and not just for me, for my family as well.
Yeah.
That's probably, you know, I'm in a happy place. I've had an amazing journey, met amazing people. You know, and you got to take the wrong turns, or you got to cop some of the punches and get back up. That's what shapes you, and that's why we keep going. But yeah, no, no real regrets. Yeah. Well, one of the things I should have probably been a bit wiser, and I'm probably guilty of it now, is just buying parts, buying bikes, and not looking at the cash flow, my personal cash flow. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I need that. That's another tool that I've got to have, and you know, I need a new fork. I just, because it's a new color or it's a new charged 2.1 damper, I better get that. Or it's the ultimate boxer, you know. So you know, I just think about the amount of money I spent over those years on bikes and bike parts, and maybe not keeping enough of the old bits and pieces, or keeping some of my old bikes, but always had to sell my old bike to buy the new one. So yeah, that's probably the biggest regret, not keeping some of the old bikes.
I think anyone in the industry knows those feelings.
Yeah.
Don't look at your shop account at the end of the year and you're all good.
Yeah, that's it.
Last question I ask most people, it's kind of one of the hardest for some, but what music do you kind of listen to if you're trying to get motivated and if you're finding it hard to get out and get on the job or anything? Do you listen to anything to get motivated or G up?
Yeah. This is probably my easiest question. Look,
sick.
I like a real broad range of music. You know, I like the old stuff. You know, I like the old Zeppelins and Creedence and stuff like that. But get into more punk, hard rock, or stuff like that. I haven't been on iTunes for I don't know 2 years, but I got on last night and brought a couple of the old Bronx albums. They're a Californian punk rock band. Even bought an old Metallica album. I was like, I want to get into was it Ride the Lightning?
Yeah.
So their first one. So I like more hard, fast, loud is what I like. In the last couple of years, it's the Bronx. I've been going to the Bronx flat out. Propagandy. Frenzal Rhom's always good for a laugh because they can always pick you up and just run around in circles kicking stuff, and you come out of that pretty happy. I've been liking... and then this one hasn't always helped, but when I got real angry or when I really needed to fire up, I'd listen to Toe to Toe, and they're a Sydney hardcore band. One of my mates played bass in them, and they're probably one of the. That's probably at my level of peak heavy. Quite often I would use them to try and pick me up, but I just get angrier, and and I suppose it would work. That's probably where I'm at with most of my music. I do like the old classics, and got to listen to some Run DMC and the Beastie Boys and stuff. My kids are into sort of everything. They actually don't like the loud, hard, fast, loud stuff, except in a little bit like the Bronx. But I don't ride with headphones or anything like that.
I can't ride with. I can ride with them up, but I can't ride with headphones in down. Can't do it. Easy, man. Well, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day and doing it so late at night and having a chat. It's been really fun.
It's all good. No, my pleasure. Totally. It's always good to have a yarn.
Yeah, sick. Thanks so much for everything you've done in the industry and for just being a rad dude and keeping the dream alive.
Thanks heaps. Yeah, no, my pleasure. Like I was saying, I've enjoyed it, and so that's been part and parcel of it, and like to succeed, and help other people succeed. That's it. Help your mates out and kick some goals for sure. So keep on keeping on, and hanging out with mates and riding with mates and working with mates, and
so good. Easy, man. Well, hopefully I'll be up in New South Wales in the next month or so, I think. So catch up and have a brew for sure.
Or 6. Yeah.
Perfect, mate. Thank you so much.
Very easy. Chat again soon. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to that episode, guys. I hope you got a bunch of inspiration and info out of it. It was a really cool episode. Rick has been a huge idol of mine and a hero of mine and inspiration for a while. Just being one of the coolest kind of brand managers, just raddest dudes. Best people I know in the mountain bike industry. Again, thanks to Canyon, Frank, NSDynamics, Tool Up Bike Co, and Dirt Surfer for keeping this podcast going. Make sure if you want any of those products from your local store, mention them to that store. Use the code Beyond the Tape at any of them. And of course, Beyond the Tape at Manscaped for 20% off. Get an absolute bargain. Thanks so much again, and hopefully enjoy the episode and look forward to the next one.